Hello, everyone, and welcome, folks, to the Lorosportspod and WUSports Center show. My name is LoroAntonio, and with me today is Matt Bridgewater. We got a lot to talk about today. So, Matt, how's it going?
Good. Going well here, and looking forward to these games this week.
Yes, absolutely. A lot to talk about here. We got Tom Brady's return to New England. We'll be talking about that. And then we're also going to be talking about our Week 3 recap and biggest takeaways here to start off, and then preview Week 4. So let's start with a Week 3 recap. So let's start with your game. The Detroit Lions, they gave the Baltimore Ravens a challenge until Justin Tucker kicked the game-winning 66-yard field goal. What is your thoughts on that?
An NFL record. Yeah, that was crazy. I think that was a hard-fought game by the Lions, and it just, hit the crossbar and bounced through. And sometimes that's just how it goes. But I like the fight in these Lions. I think that they are making progress despite injuries, despite a huge turnover in the roster. And I do like the direction that Dan Campbell is taking them.
He is taking them in a very good direction, but the Lions are still rebuilding. We're going to talk about their game against the Bears in just a minute here. So let's also talk about the LA Chargers upsetting the AFC champion, two-time AFC champion Kansas City Chiefs in Week 3. Wasn't that a big upset again? And Mike Williams was a hero again.
Woohoo! Yeah, I called it. That was one of my upset specials last week. Was Chargers over the Chiefs, and that was a game where they committed a lot of silly penalties. They had 7 total, I think, including one I think that nullified a touchdown again. So the Chargers, they're in a situation where I think they are talented enough. I think they're pretty good with strategy, with going in and putting themselves in a position to win. I think that just at times their execution of plays is a little bit off. And that's just, I think, a result of it's early in the season. They didn't start their starters on offense during the preseason. So I think there's a bit of a preseason learning curve going on. I think that's going to get better as the season goes on. It could also be Staley's a brand new head coach, and he's still trying to fix that stuff. But the good news is all of their mistakes, that stuff you can fix in practice. That, illegal procedure penalties, things like that. That's something that you can just work on in practice. Chargers, though, their defense, their secondary is awesome with Derwin James and Asante Samuel Jr. Man, they are good out there. And Bosa showed a lot of grit by coming out there and getting a few tackles and a half sack, despite the fact that he was fighting some nagging injuries. I think they looked good on both sides of the ball. They need to continue to improve their rush defense. That's the other flaw. Besides their penalties, their rush defense needs to get better, which Staley is going to be fine with that. He's a defensive expert. I think he's just, once again, they'll get better over the course of the season with that.
Absolutely. I think that was a good move by the Chargers to hire Brandon Staley because they needed somebody that knows defense and knows how to close out games the right way whenever you're on defense. The Chargers had so many issues with that last year with Coach Lynn because Coach Lynn was not a good head coach because of game management, time management, clock management, late game situations. I think Brandon Staley is better at that area.
Yeah, I think so too.
So anyways, let's talk about the Rams stunning the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I thought that in Tom Brady's first career game in L.A., I thought that he was going to come out with a win against the L.A. Rams. But the Rams and Matthew Stafford continue to show that they are ready to be the team to beat again in the NFC.
Oh, they looked good, didn't they? No team was going into SoFi Stadium last week to play the Rams and would win. They looked just top down real good. I think there's the only question I have are a little bit of offensive questions. Teams can come out hot on offense early in the season and then cool off later. We've seen the Saints do that actually the last couple of years with Drew Brees, and sometimes that's an older quarterback being tired. I think you have a 17-game grind, one extra game this year, so there might be some hiccups coming with the offense. Stafford though looks good. He has a top 10 quarterback. I'd put him up there around 9 or 10. He's on the same page with McVay. Stafford has had some injury issues the past few years at times. He needs to avoid those. I think their rushing game, they need to continue to work on that. But, my Super Bowl prediction at the beginning of the year was Bills-Rams, with Rams winning the Super Bowl, and I'm sticking with that. I mean, the Rams look really good.
They do look really good, and we're looking forward to talking about Tom Brady's homecoming to New England. So the Patriots, over last week, they lost to the Saints, and I felt like that the Patriots did not they just underestimated the Saints. I thought that the Patriots would just come in, they would hammer Jameis Winston out of the backfield and take him down for sacks, but I don't know what Jameis Winston you're going to get. What was your thoughts on the Patriots losing to the Saints?
Yeah, that was a bit unexpected too. I thought the Patriots would beat the Saints. Great coaching matchup between Sean Payton and Bill Belichick with their new quarterbacks, with Mac Jones and with Jameis Winston. So it was a pretty good showdown, but Sean Payton and the Saints, they got the best of Mac Jones. He did not look good out there. He's a first-year quarterback. They're going to have games like that. Nothing you can do about it. And I think they're going to come back stronger over the next few weeks, and they'll learn from that experience.
You're talking about the Patriots, that you think that they're going to come back stronger.
Yeah.
And for the Saints, they're going to be returning to New Orleans. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. So one of my biggest takeaways in week 3 was, I have to say my biggest takeaway in week 3 was that the Cowboys blowing out the Eagles on Monday night. What about you?
That's a really good takeaway, I think, for sure. I think that my takeaway is, what's up with Pittsburgh? Wow, the Raiders came in and blew the doors off them, it seemed. And, I think that they're going to there's some questions around that team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, for sure. And they got a tough game at Green Bay coming up this week.
Ooh, that's not going to be easy for Pittsburgh to go up against Aaron Rodgers, because look in the AFC North, you got the Bengals. They've been the surprise. And then you talk about the Browns. The Browns have been great. The Ravens are going to be good, but the Steelers have a lot of question marks as well. So
I said Raiders. I meant Bengals beat them this week. So
yeah,
it goes to show both games. Yeah, both games were bad for the Raiders. Yeah,
both games were bad for the Steelers, and then the Ravens.
Steelers. Yeah,
and for the Raiders, the Raiders are just off to a 3-0 start, and also the Broncos. I don't know how well they're going to sustain this success here. So, anyways, folks, let's talk about our Week 4 preview and picks. Let's start with tomorrow's Thursday night matchup as the Jacksonville Jaguars take on the Cincinnati Bengals. And everybody should know that it's going to feel like 2020 all over again as Joe Burrow goes up against Trevor Lawrence. So I'm going to stick with Joe Burrow and the Bengals to win this game, just because I feel like that Joe Burrow's still going to get the best out of Trevor Lawrence.
Yes, I'll tell you what. This was a tough one for me to pick, and I'm going to go with the Bengals, though. I just haven't seen as much improvement from Jacksonville over the last 3 weeks to pick them on the road against a team like Cincinnati, which does look like it's improving. Credit to Zach Taylor and credit to Joe Burrow, who they might be finding a little bit of chemistry there. I'm excited for this game tomorrow. I mean, when you look at the schedule, you see Jacksonville, Cincinnati, you don't feel like you're going to be excited for it. And both these teams, Cincinnati is they're 2-1, and Jacksonville is 0-3. But this is going to be a fun game, I think. This is one of those look at the future of the NFL with Burrow and Trevor Lawrence.
And looking forward to seeing what Urban Meyer does in his first primetime game as a head coach in the NFL. And I feel like that Urban Meyer is the right coach for the Jags, but you got to give it time. A lot of people are speculating too early about if he's really the right man in Jacksonville, and I think he is.
Yeah, I think he is. I think they're doing everything they can to help him succeed. I mean, they need a roster overhaul. He has a rookie quarterback. I don't know what I guess people had expectations because everywhere he's gone, he's won like in the first year almost all the time. So, or at least shown a big improvement. NFL is a different beast, and he needs the roster. And he has a lot. I think he has the most assistant coaches out of anyone in the league, the most staff out of anyone in the league. So I think he's got a big base there of support, and I think they're going to definitely show improvement. I don't think they get it done this week, though, at Cincinnati.
No, it's going to be
He's returning to Ohio. He's returning to Ohio.
It's going to be a bit of a homecoming for Urban Meyer there, that's for sure. But starting with our Sunday slate, we have three homecoming games this week. So let's start with Chiefs and Eagles. That will be Andy Reid's return to Philly. Speaking of Andy Reid, obviously he suffered dehydration. That's why he was taken to the hospital after the Chiefs loss over the Chargers. And glad to see that he's doing okay. But I bet that he is excited to be returning to his football home and the team that he coached for 13 years in Philadelphia. And he was the Eagles' winningest head coach in the history of Philadelphia football. But give me the Chiefs in this one because I think that Andy Reid's going to want to go into Philadelphia and get the win.
Yeah, I'm taking Chiefs too, and I think the Chiefs are going to be smart and over their home loss to LA. So I think the Chiefs go in there and get on. And plus the Eagles, I'll just say that I'm not sold on Nick Sirianni as head coach. I'm not sold on Jalen Hurts. I think Hurts does not pass the eye test for me. I think he's bouncing around too much in the pocket. I think he's getting rid of the ball too early, or he's holding onto the ball too long at times, and then he's running around. He doesn't look comfortable there, and that's not on Jalen Hurts necessarily. It could be offensive line. It could be he doesn't have the weapons to go to. It could be that they're really good at taking away the first read, but he doesn't look good. So, and neither does I don't think Nick Sirianni looks that good either. So, I think that Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and the Kansas City Chiefs come out of Philly with, I think, a big win.
It is going to be a big statement win. I think the Eagles are going to get back on track. And for the Eagles, I like Jalen Hurts, but like you said, he needs to – I just think that the Eagles have a lot of offensive line issues right now because the interior, they suffered like Brandon Brooks being out, and then you talk about Lane Johnson being their only best offensive lineman, especially on the right side. But you just think that Jalen Hurts needs to not run around too much.
Yeah, he needs more patience, but that could be on him where he's just panicking a lot and he's not comfortable. It could also be on the offensive scheme they're running or the personnel they have that he knows he's feeling pressure to move around too much. Yeah, but I'm going with the Chiefs.
Now let's talk about the Titans taking on the Jets. So the Jets got clobbered last week in Denver. And for the Titans, they got a big win against the Colts. They improved to 2-1 after shaking off that opening week loss to the Titans, which I know they will. There was no way they were going to go 0-2. But give me the Titans in a blowout just because I just think that the Jets right now, they're not playing well right now. But I do think Zach Wilson will continue to grow and develop as the Jets franchise quarterback. But I just think that in his first 3 weeks, it just hasn't been pretty for Zach Wilson.
No, it has not. He looks overwhelmed right now. And, it's we need to see, Robert Saleh, I'm sure he's a good coach and all that. He's a defensive-minded coach. We'll see if he's the right fit with Zach Wilson. We'll see if Zach Wilson's the right fit. He looked terrible, though. I mean, he's turning the ball over too much. Part of that's on the offensive coordinator. You got to give better play options to someone like Zach Wilson. Calm him down, give him some easy tosses, build a running game. The Jets need a roster overall, too. It's like Jacksonville. They just do not have personnel on that team. I'm predicting a big Titans win.
It is going to be another big Titans win, that's for sure. But also, speaking of which, let's talk about a former Jet that's been playing great coming off of the Adam Gase bad offensive schemes. So the Panthers are going to Big D to take on the Cowboys. So Give me Sam Darnold and the Panthers to get another big win, just because I really think that Sam Darnold's playing out of his mind right now, and I think he's thriving with Joe Brady and Matt Rule. So give me the Panthers in this one.
Yeah, and I was going to say one thing about the Titans, man. They'll be 3-1 probably, and they'll have a stranglehold on that division already. I mean, I don't see Jacksonville, the Texans, or the Colts challenging them this year. Yes, so with Carolina and Dallas, this is going to be an interesting game. Dallas, they're 12-1, 11-1 in their last NFC East games. At least Dak Prescott is when he's starting. When they're the Eagles, the Giants, and football team all suck. Like they're not good, and so you can beat up on those teams. You can look really good, and when you play in prime time, like Monday Night Football against Philly, like you look good. Everyone jumps on the Dallas bandwagon. I think Dallas will win that division, and I think they're going to the playoffs. They're going to host a playoff game, obviously. This is going to be a big test, I think. What's the status on Christian McCaffrey?
Probably won't be playing in this game, but also if you look at it, the reason why I picked Carolina is because I think that if you look at it here, I think he's going to be throwing the ball to Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore a lot. So I think that Carolina's offense is still going to be effective.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Cowboys here. I think that the loss of McCaffrey is going to be a pretty big punch to Carolina. I still think Carolina's going to play well. I think they're going to hang in there, but I think Dallas gets the win.
That I wouldn't be shocked just because of how well the Cowboys are playing right now, and I think that defensively they've really improved because I think Dan Quinn has made an immediate impact right away on that defense.
Yeah,
that's what I think. So, and my lock of the week is Chiefs Eagles, and yours is going to be Titans and Jets. You said,
yeah.
So, anyways, now let's talk about the Saints returning home to the Bayou.
Actually, my lock is going to be Bills over the Texans.
Okay, I'll tell you my pick in that game in just a minute here. So anyways, now let's talk about the Saints return to the Bayou as they are taking on the New York Giants back at the Caesars Superdome. Give me the Saints in this one because the way they played against the Patriots, I feel like that the Saints are going to play well in their home opener, and I'm calling that Jameis Winston's going to have a very good game.
Yep, I'm also taking the Saints here. The Giants just look pathetic, and I don't see them being able to pull off an upset in New Orleans. I'm going with the Saints back in front of their hometown crowd.
Absolutely. So now let's talk about the Browns taking on the Minnesota Vikings. So I'm going to pick the Cleveland Browns in Kevin Stefanski's return to Minnesota because he and Mike Zimmer are going to go head-to-head, and I think that Kevin Stefanski's going to get the better of Mike Zimmer.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun game, I think, and I'm going with the Browns too. I just don't have enough trust in the Vikings right now. I'm going to go with the Browns will eke out a win in Minnesota.
Yes, absolutely. The reason why I say that Kevin Stefanski and Mike Zimmer are going head-to-head is because Kevin Stefanski was the offensive coordinator in Minnesota before taking the head coaching job in Cleveland. And I think Cousins worked well with Stefanski. And I think that with the Vikings, their offense is okay. But I just think that their defense has a lot of concerns right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there's a lot of concerns with Minnesota all around. So I'm going to definitely go with the Browns.
This game we're going to talk about is one of my upset specials because I think that the Detroit Lions are due for a win, and I think what a good time for the Lions to go into Soldier Field and give Dan Campbell his first win as the Detroit Lions head coach. And I'm going to say that. Give me the Lions in this game, but it's going to be a very, very close game. But I think that it's going to come down to a late field goal, and I think that Jared Goff is going to lead the Lions to a game-winning drive, and they come into Soldier Field with a win.
Yep, I think the Lions pick up their first win this season as well in Chicago. I think that the quarterback situation in Chicago is too weird, and I think they're dealing with a lot of problems themselves. I think the Lions have looked decent at times in both the 49ers opener in the second quarter or the fourth quarter. And in the first half against Green Bay, I thought they looked good. And I thought against the Ravens, they looked pretty good. So I think this week it comes together and they finally come out of there with a W.
And then they give Coach Gamble his first career win as an NFL head coach because he's gotten plenty of those as an interim coach.
Yep.
So basically, this would be his first career win as a head coach.
Yep.
So I'm looking, but I do like Campbell in Detroit. He knows this off. He knows offense. He's formerly a tight end for the Lions, and I feel like that he is fitting right in Detroit.
Yes, I agree.
And the players love him, and I think that he's leading them into a unique direction.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about this. This is your lock of the week. The Texans are playing in Buffalo against the Bills. The Bills, after that loss against the Steelers, they have played very well. I mean, they look mad beating the Dolphins. Then they beat the Washington football team, and I think the Bills will clobber the Texans, especially with that high-octane offense led by Josh Allen, led by Diggs, led by Sanders, and I think that give me the Buffalo Bills to beat the Houston Texans.
Yes, I agree. Bills are going to just mop the floor with the Texans, I think, this week. The Bills are looking pretty good after that kind of shocking first week loss to the Steelers, but that's a week one loss. They always get a couple of those, so I'm going with Bills all the way.
And then the Colts take on the Dolphins. Let's talk about who needs this win more. Is it the Dolphins or is it the Colts?
That's a good question. I think the Colts need it more. I mean, if they falling to 0-4, they both need the win. I think they're both in desperate straits. But the Colts, I mean, falling to 0-4 would just be a terrible start for that team.
I want to give me the Colts in this one. I think that Carson Wentz, I think he'll be healthy enough to get him his first win as the Colts starting quarterback. And for the Dolphins, I feel like that they will get better when Tua Tagovailoa comes back.
Yep, I agree. I think that the Colts just might be able to click a little bit better here and pull out, I think, a necessary win for their franchise.
And then let's talk about the Washington football team going up against the Falcons. So it's going to be also kudos to Arthur Smith. He got his first career win as a head coach in the Big Apple. Not an easy place to do that. But talking about the Giants being pathetic, that's probably a good team that he did that against.
Yes, I agree.
And for the Washington football team, I think their defense is off to a slow start, as you all know. I am confident that this Washington football team is going to pick it up and still find a way to get into the playoffs. I think Ron Rivera is a great coach. I think the coaching is there. I think the quarterback situation is in flux, but I think Taylor Heineke is playing pretty good right now. But I'm going to say Washington football team will pull off the victory in Atlanta.
Yes. I'm going with Atlanta in this game. Don't ask me why. I just think that with Washington football team, despite their offensive woes, at quarterback, offense in general, it's kind of inexplicable that their defense has been struggling a bit. So I think Atlanta's going to eke out another win against an NFC East opponent.
Well, I'm surprised you said that because Atlanta's defense is not great. But if you look at it, Atlanta's offense is elite with Matt Ryan.
Yeah. I think that it's going to be a close game.
It is going to be a close game, that's for sure. So now let's talk about the West Coast games now. So the Arizona Cardinals are playing the LA Rams. Both teams are undefeated. And the Cardinals last week obviously blew out the Jacksonville Jaguars after the Jaguars kind of led on them for a little bit, and Kyler Murray has been fantastic. But I was told that the Cardinals are a good first half team, but we're going to have to wait and see how they do in the later part of the season because last year they faltered and they collapsed. Do you think that the Cardinals can sustain that success throughout the season and that they finally make the playoffs with Kingsbury and Murray?
Here's my upset special. Cardinals go into SoFi and get a win. The only reason I'm going with an upset here, the Cardinals winning, is this seems like it could be a bit of a letdown game for the Rams. That they are on their high horse after beating the Buccaneers, Super Bowl champs, Tom Brady at home. I could see a bit of a letdown game coming here. So I'm going to go with the Cardinals coming into SoFi and walking out with a W.
I'm gonna go with the Rams. I think that they're the better team. I think that the Rams defense is gonna chase Kyler Murray, and if they get him 10 times in a game, I think the Rams defense will dominate this game. But Kyler Murray is gonna give them a challenge, which I know he will. And the Cardinals are a very fun team to watch, as you know. And do you think that the Cardinals can sustain that success and finally make the playoffs?
Yeah, that's the big question, especially because the NFC, well, let's see. There's 6 teams going to the playoffs, right, this year?
It's 7.
Okay, 7. So it makes it easier. But, yeah, you look at NFC East is only sending one team, the Cowboys. NFC North is only sending one team, the Packers. So they catch a break with those 2 divisions. Then you have the NFC South. I mean, Tampa Bay will be up there. I think either Carolina or New Orleans will get in. So there's 4, which leaves 3 teams left. And you can go with Rams, Cardinals, Seahawks, Rams, Cardinals, 49ers. I think the Cardinals are going to the playoffs this year.
I think them, and then you put the Panthers up there with Seattle when it's 5, 6, and 7, and then San Fran probably misses out.
Yep.
So
that could be, yeah.
Anyways, let's talk about the Seahawks taking on the 49ers. So you said Seattle has problems offensively, and I'm like, it's their defense that's been giving them problems. That's why they lost. And I have belief in Russell Wilson. And for the 49ers, I'm not sold on Jimmy Garoppolo either. So give me the Seahawks to win this game. But if the Niners win, it's going to be because of their high-powered defense led by Nick Bosa and Arik Armstead.
Yeah, I'm going with the Seahawks, too, in this one. Bit of an upset. I think that the 49ers, I think they're both – the Seahawks have been struggling a little bit. But the 49ers, they didn't look good for most of the game against the Packers, and they came back and they took the lead, and then they lost in a heartbreaking fashion with Aaron Rodgers leading Green Bay to a field goal winning drive. Kyle Shanahan continues to impress me. He's an excellent coach, but I think Seattle knows it's in a very desperate situation here. They can't go 1-3 in this division. And they would be 1-3 with the Rams maybe being 4-0 and the Cardinals and 49ers being 3-1. So the Seahawks can't do that, especially with 2 games left against the Rams. And so I think the Seahawks get a win.
Absolutely, I do. I mean, I'm anxious to see with the 49ers if they're going to start Trey Lance over Jimmy Garoppolo. That's what I've been saying because I don't have faith in Jimmy Garoppolo health-wise. That's why I think that you have to turn to the quarterback of the future, and the Niners found that in Trey Lance.
Yep.
And even though he did have a touchdown in his last game, so now let's talk about the Steelers taking on the Packers. What a game last week for the Packers in San Francisco. And for the Steelers, they're going to continue to struggle. So give me the Packers in this game.
Yeah, I think it's give me the Packers and, by at least a touchdown.
It's going to depend on if TJ Watt's back. And I think that if he's back, the defense will give Rodgers quite a challenge.
Yeah.
And then to our last late afternoon game. So the Baltimore Ravens will take on the 3-0 Denver Broncos. Who would have thought that the Denver Broncos will be 3-0? And that if they were off to a 3-0 start, it's time to save Vic Fangio as the head coach in Denver. I like Vic Fangio, but is he right for the Denver Broncos? It's a wait-and-see kind of thing. But for the Ravens, they're coming off an impressive win over the Lions, but give me the Ravens in this game. I think Denver's going to be getting a loss in this one.
You think who's going to lose?
Denver.
Yeah, I'm going with the Ravens too. I think that they got a narrow win over the Chiefs, a big win though. They might have had a bit of a letdown game against the Lions after that. And I think they're going to bounce back here, and I think they're going to take Denver. It'll be a close game. I think Vic Fangio and the Denver Broncos have been playing really well. I think the Ravens, though, get a win here and go to 3-1 on the season.
I think so. I mean, the Baltimore Ravens are obviously one of the best teams in the AFC North, and for the Broncos, they're kind of pretenders in my opinion. I just think that starting 3-0 is good, but I feel like that Teddy Bridgewater has a chance to be a franchise quarterback for the Broncos, and I think that if he plays well, which I think he will, I think this is his team.
Yeah, I think so too.
Now let's talk about Sunday Night Football. There's been a lot of talk in this game, and Tom Brady is returning to his football home, which is New England, and he will be going head-to-head with his former boss, Bill Belichick. You told me that he might put up 50 points against his former team, Brady will, so that he could show Belichick who's boss. But there's been a lot of talk and a lot of rumblings about this game between the Buccaneers and the Patriots, and Mac Jones is going to be going up against his predecessor. So who do you like in this game and why?
I'm going with the Buccaneers. And I was jokingly telling you, I think Brady's going to hang 50 points on the Patriots. I don't know if it'll be quite 50, but I think he's going in there a man on a mission, especially coming off a loss. I think Tampa Bay wins this running away.
I'm going to pick my New England Patriots to win this game just because I feel like that there have been some home teams, like in homecomings, like, for example, when Peyton Manning would return to Indianapolis, the Colts would beat them. And then I think it would be that same type of feel, just because I think that the Patriots coming off a loss to the Saints, which was kind of disappointing. And I think that beating Tampa Bay is going to be hard, but I think that the defense can really put pressure on Brady. But I just think that if the Bucs win, I would not be surprised because this is Brady's homecoming.
Uh-huh.
So you're picking Tampa Bay because you just think that Tom Brady's going to be mad from losing to the Rams.
Yep.
And he also has some records to break there if he does. Like, he could break Drew Brees' all-time passing yards mark. He needs 40 to get there.
Yeah.
So he could do that. And also, what do you expect from the fans as Brady makes his return?
I think that they are going to cheer him wildly. Yeah, I think they're going to give him a big ovation for sure.
Especially what he's given to the Patriots for the past 20 years. And also, do you think that he'll be receiving boos when he enters the game in his first drive?
Just a typical boo, just the typical noise that I think any away team would hear. But I think he's going to get a lot of cheers.
He is going to get a lot of cheers. He's meant a lot to that franchise, and I'm just anxious to see what Robert Kraft is going to say about it. And also, Bill Belichick even said that he never wanted Tom Brady to leave. When he was asked about Tom Brady, he was asked about that. But I know that, and also Tom Brady said that Bill's like a mentor to me. What was your thoughts on that? On what Belichick said and what Brady said?
Yeah, I think they both have a lot of respect for each other. I think that's really all I can say about it. I don't know anything else about them personally. So,
and now let's talk about Monday Night Football. You are going to be at that game, right?
Yep, I'm going to be there
when the Chargers take on the Raiders. And I think this game at SoFi Stadium, the first Monday night game at SoFi Stadium for the LA Chargers, I think it's going to be a dandy. And give me the LA Chargers to win this game because I think that the Raiders, they're going to be due for a loss. I think the Raiders have been playing great. I think Gus Bradley has been making an impact on that defense. And I think the Raiders are a team that's due to make the playoffs. And I think the Raiders will definitely be in that playoff conversation. And for the Chargers, I think that Justin Herbert's due to have his best game yet.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun game for sure. You're going to see a duel between two great quarterbacks, both in the AFC West with Justin Herbert and Derek Carr. Good coaching showdown between the veteran John Gruden and the new kid on the block, Brandon Staley. And you're just going to see, I think, a really good game here, really good atmosphere. There'll be a lot of Raider fans at that stadium, of course, but it's going to be a blast. I'm looking forward to it.
And who do you want in this game? Do you want to see the Chargers win?
Yeah, I would like to see the Chargers win.
Yeah, the last game you were at, they lost the heartbreaker to the Cowboys. But also talk about the Raiders. I mean, their defense has been fantastic. And I think, do you think that Gus Bradley has been a good influence on the Raiders defense?
Yep, I think so.
I think he's going to want to get revenge on the Chargers just because he kind of knows their offensive schemes from working there. And I think Gus Bradley was the bright spot for the Chargers on their coaching staff last year.
Yeah, I think so, yep.
So anyways, let's talk about some baseball. So the Dodgers, in their final week of the season, they're playing the Padres, and then they conclude with the Brewers. So what are your expectations? Do you think that the Dodgers can still win the NL West, or do you think that they'll still win enough ball games, but won't be enough to win the West?
Yeah, I think that it's going to be a close one, but I think the Giants got the division.
Yeah,
what happened
night
yesterday? Yesterday the Dodgers won, right?
Yes, Walker Buehler pitched very well, and the Dodgers won 2-1, and it was because of Trey Turner and A.J. Pollock scoring RBI singles. And for the Padres, they only got one run on the home run by Jake Cronenworth.
Yep. Problem is the Giants keep on winning too, and they won yesterday as well. So I think the Dodgers they're going to have to play that wild card game.
And if they do play that wild card game against a red hot St. Louis Cardinals team, did you say that you think the Dodgers will beat them?
Yeah, it's a bit scary. The Cardinals have won 17 straight. This is turning into the worst case scenario for the Dodgers, even though they've had a great season. I think the Dodgers will still win. I think the Cardinals, their luck has to run out at some point. Maybe there's 17 games in a row. Maybe they'll finally start hitting a wall here. But they are a scary team for the Dodgers to face. They just keep on winning.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, if you look at it here, I feel like that if Max Scherzer starts, then the Cardinals are probably going to have a hard time hitting off of him.
Yeah.
Which I think Dave Roberts did say that he's going to want to put Max Scherzer out there to start that one-game playoff. And I want Buehler, but I think Roberts is going to go with Max.
Yeah.
Just because, in my opinion, I just think that Max Scherzer is also a good pitcher in big games too,
Oh, the Cardinals did clinch, by the way. They are the second wild card team now.
Yes, but the first wild card spot is still up for grabs, and the Dodgers and Giants are still keeping pace at each other. So, anyways, let's talk about your Detroit Tigers. Even though that they're eliminated from the playoffs, a lot of people predicted them to be one of the worst teams in the American League. They are sitting at third place right now behind the Cleveland Indians. And who would have thought? Who would have thought that the Tigers would be competing with Cleveland and Chicago? And talk about in the American League Central, you have La Russa finishing in first place with his White Sox. You got Francona finishing in second with his Cleveland Indians. And then you got A.J. Hinch finishing in third with the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah, it's all, it's crazy. Tigers did a great job this year. I think they exceeded everyone's expectations. And I put that on A.J. Hinch. I think he's done a wonderful job. Yes,
coming from a former Detroit Tiger player, and then it didn't work out for him in Houston because of that sign stealing thing. He's a man on a mission to retool the Detroit Tigers.
He is, yep.
And to help them become a successful ball club. Like next year, the Dodgers will be playing the Detroit Tigers in LA. Looking forward to that, and looking forward to seeing how he'll be received from the Dodgers fans next year, because he's going to be receiving a lot of boos because of this sign stealing scandal.
Yeah.
So the Detroit Tigers, I think they're going to be on for a strong finish.
Yep.
So, anyways, let's talk about who you want in that second wild card. As you know, the American League is still up for grabs here. And obviously, I think the Rays will get home field advantage throughout. I think the Astros will be the second best team in the American League. And I think the White Sox will be playing in Houston come the DS.
Yeah, I think. The White Sox will play at Houston. I think that's kind of locked in there pretty much at this point. And then I think the Rays will host the winner of. I think it's going to be. I think the Yankees will
or
host.
Red Sox, but the Mariners are not counted out. So
They're not.
So who do you want to get that second wild card spot? Do you want Yankees, Red Sox, or do you want Yankees and Mariners?
Like everyone's going to say Yankees, Red Sox. I'm going to hope for either Yankees, Mariners, or Yankees, Blue Jays. I think either of those will be kind of fun and exciting, and you get to see Mariners. They don't always make the playoffs. I think that'd be good to see them. I think the Blue Jays just have a fun team, and I'd like to see them over the Red Sox.
And then the A's, they have kind of fallen off big time.
Yep, they really imploded here. They've lost 2 in a row. They're 4-6 in their last 10, and they're technically still alive, but that their luck is running out. It might run out tonight, actually.
Also, some news to talk about in the Dodgers is that Jaime Jarrín will be retiring after the 2022 season, and after 64 years as the Spanish language broadcaster for the Dodgers, he has made such an impact on the Dodgers and the Latino community of LA. And I think that aside from Vince Scully retiring and also being a big blow to the Dodgers broadcast team, I just think that the Dodgers broadcast in Spanish, if you know, not going to be the same without Jaime Jarrín.
Right. Yeah, it's he's a legend, and fans are going to miss him. That's for sure.
Yeah, he's a great person. I don't hear a lot of games in Spanish, but I know that Jaime Jarrín, when you think of him, he is a legend when it comes to the Spanish language broadcast. But obviously, fans love hearing Vin. I think fans are going to miss Jaime Jarrín, and Jaime Jarrín, I better think that he is going to. I bet he's going to have a memorable farewell season in the booth.
Yep, I agree.
So I bet fans are going to just gonna hear him as much as they can. But anyways, now let's talk about some NBA. So we got the Lakers returning to action as they take on the Broklyn Nets. I am not sure if we'll be able to see guys like Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving or James Harden get to play against the Lakers. And for the Lakers, Russell Westbrook, Anthony Davis, and LeBron James. If none of these guys play, then there's no worth watching. So do you think you could expect to see those stars out there in preseason game number 1 for the Lakers and for the Nets?
Yes, I think. Except for Kyrie, I don't know what's going on with his vaccination status. The NBA is, they're not. I don't think they're handling this right, and you can say that if you have a religious exemption for vaccine, or if you have obviously like a health issue that prohibits you from taking a vaccine, that's one thing. But to be basing, your thoughts on a vaccine based on YouTube videos and things like that is ridiculous. Scott Van Pelt had a really good take on this, where he had said these NBA players and all athletes, they trust, and I should emphasize that in the NBA, like, they're over 90% vaccinated. So they're doing a good job in that regards. But these same players who trust doctors to rehab their injuries, to repair their ACL when it's damaged. So you trust them for all that stuff, but you don't trust them about a vaccine. Like, it's really weird. And, the other thing too is these players are compensated with a lot of money, a lot of cash. And they are there as a teammate to help their team win. This isn't just some ordinary job. They don't have an ordinary life. And I think they need to put that first and foremost. They have to remember that. Not to mention these vaccines are safe. They help save our lives and help to get society back to normal. So that being said, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with some of these teams, with Wiggins or with Irving. Start finding them and start suspending them from practices and games. That's what I would say.
Yeah, if you test positive for COVID, then get suspended right away. That's what I think.
Yep.
Now let's talk about our East and West predictions heading into the 2021-2022 season. And let's start with the East. So obviously, Matt, before you make your predictions, it is going to be 1 through 10 because of the play-in tournament. So let's talk about who is going to be who's going to be 1 through 6 in the East, and then who's going to be 7, 8, 9, and 10 for those who are going to be playing in the play-in tournament. So let's start with the Eastern Conference. So the top 6, let's start with our top 6 first, and then we'll talk about the teams that will be playing in the play-in tournament at the end of the season. So I got the Broklyn Nets as the number 1 seed. Then I got the Milwaukee Bucks as the number 2 seed. The Miami Heat, I think they're going to be number 3 because I think that adding Kyle Lowry with Jimmy Butler, I think this is a team that you can't sleep on. And then I put the Philadelphia 76ers from 1 last year to the number 4 seed, and I think they're going to play Atlanta as the 5 seed. And then the Chicago Bulls will be the 6 seed. Who are your top 6, Matt?
I agree with those. I would just say that I think that the you might have the Boston Celtics up there instead of the Bulls.
And I picked the Bulls because I liked what they did in the offseason. They got DeMar DeRozan, they got Lonzo Ball. That should be enough for them to get over the hump.
Yeah.
So who do you have as your top 6? Did you put Boston as the 6th seed?
Yep, same as yours. I would just put Boston as a 6. I'd put Chicago as 7. And I'm tempted to put the Pistons as 8 with Cade Cunningham, but
that's gonna take time for the Pistons. But
I'll put the Pacers as 8.
For my play-in tournament teams, I have the Pacers and the Celtics as 7 and 8, and then 9 and 10 will be the New York Knicks and the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah, where'd you put Atlanta?
5.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's sounds
yeah.
Good. Yeah.
I have them.
I'll put the Knicks and the Hornets too down there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I say that because I think the Hornets have a bright future, but there's teams like the Pistons and the Magic and the Washington Wizards. I don't think they're going to get in.
Yeah.
So you have Brooklyn as your number 1 seed.
Yeah.
So now let's go to the West. So let's start with our top 6. So I got the Lakers number 1. I got the Phoenix Suns at number 2. And then if healthy, I'm going on a limb here. I'm going to put the Golden State Warriors as the 3 seed if Klay Thompson and Steph Curry stay on the floor with Draymond Green. And I think the Warriors will be back to being on top. And then the LA Clippers will be number 4. And then the Dallas Mavericks will be 5. And then the 6th seed will be the Denver Nuggets. What about you?
I'm gonna put Phoenix first. I'm gonna put after that. I'm gonna say Denver 2, Lakers 3, Utah 4, Clippers 5, and Golden State 6.
I might change that too. So basically, I have Denver as my number 3 seed now. I'm going to change that just because for me, I thought I went out on a limb for the Warriors, but I'm changing my mind on that because I think that Denver right now is the better team over the Clippers and the Mavericks and the Warriors. So give me the Denver Nuggets 3, and I'm switching 3 and 6. Just because I think the Denver Nuggets are the better team, and I think that the Denver Nuggets are. I think the Denver Nuggets, when they're fully healthy, I think they're going to be a team to watch in the Western Conference. But the Warriors are just not there yet. The Warriors are good, but I just don't think they don't have enough.
Yeah.
So, anyways, my 7, 8, 9, and 10 will be the Blazers, the Jazz, the Spurs, and the Grizzlies.
Yeah, mine are going to be 7 is going to be Dallas, 8's going to be Portland, 9 is the Grizzlies, and 10 is New Orleans.
Why do you put the Pelicans in there?
I think the new coach and Zion are going to get well, and they're going to squeak in.
And I originally had the Warriors as the 3 seed, but I'm going to switch Warriors to the 6th spot, and I'm going to put Denver up there just because for me, I just think that getting a healthy Jamal Murray back, and then also Nikola Jokic, this team is too good.
Yeah.
And I think Denver's great defensively, and I think that the Western Conference is so tough, so I think the Nuggets are going to be in it for the long run to compete in the Western Conference. And where did you have Utah again?
I had Utah as number 4.
Oh, okay. Just wanted to make sure. So now let's talk about awards. So let's start with the Rookie of the Year award. And obviously, to me, that's an easy choice. And I'm going to pick Cade Cunningham from your Detroit Pistons to win the 2021-2022 NBA Rookie of the Year.
Yes. Who's going to be the Rookie of the Year?
I picked Cade Cunningham.
Yes, me too.
Because I think that it's not going to be enough for the Pistons to compete, but I think that right away he's going to be a fantastic player for the Pistons, and I think he's going to be one of their franchise cornerstones on the team.
Yeah.
In the future. He has a bright future ahead of him.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about who's going to win Coach of the Year. And with the roster that the Lakers have, I'm picking my guy Frank Vogel because I think Frank Vogel is going to do a great job. I think he did a great job last year despite all the injuries that the Lakers had. And I thought that Frank Vogel should have gotten it in his first year as the head coach of the Lakers. Give me Frank Vogel as the coach of the year for the NBA. What about you?
I think he will be a contender for sure with all those older players. Yeah, I think Frank Vogel might be up there for me too.
Yes, and who's your pick to win the Coach of the Year for the NBA?
Frank Vogel.
Yeah, we got a clean sweep on that. Also, yeah. I think there'll be other contenders too. I think Quinn Snyder should be up there too. I think Ty Lue should be up there too, and I think that I'm also going to put Nate McMillan up there too because of what the job he did in Toronto and in Atlanta.
Yes, for sure.
And let's talk about Executive of the Year. I pick Rob Pelinka.
Oh, yeah. That I agree. He's probably very well deserving. But I might pick Brad Stevens.
You would?
Yeah.
Surprisingly?
Yeah.
He's taking over for Danny Ainge, and he's transitioning to that role. Why do you think he would be Executive of the Year?
I want to go on a limb and pick someone different.
Oh, yeah. But Pelinka will be up there. So,
yeah.
Anyways, let's talk about who will be our pick to win the 6th Man of the Year award. Last year, Jordan Clarkson won it, but this year I'm going to go with him again just because I think that Jordan Clarkson is a great 6th man, and he provides points off the bench, and I'm going to go with him. Not to be biased just because he's a former Laker. I just think that Jordan Clarkson is a fantastic scorer.
Yes, I agree with you. I think he'll be a strong contender for that 6th Man of the Year.
And is that your pick to win the 6th Man of the Year award this year?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a close race between him and Lou Williams.
Yes, I think so. Lou Williams is always in the mix, yeah.
Yeah, I think those two will be in it, but I just think that it's going to come down to those two who's going to win 6th Man of the Year award. But let's talk about who is going to be this year's Most Improved Player of the Year award. Last year, it was former Laker Julius Randle with the New York Knicks. And I'm going to pick this year a fellow UCLA alum. He's going to be a good backcourt tandem with Zach LaVine, 2 UCLA Bruins. But give me Lonzo Ball because I feel like that Lonzo Ball is going to continue his upward development. And if he improves on his jump shot and his free throw shooting, then give me him and give me Lonzo Ball as this year's Most Improved Player of the Year award.
Yeah, I like it. I'm going with it too.
So let's talk about Defensive Player of the Year. So Giannis Jokic, you could put them up there, but give me Anthony Davis.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to go with Giannis.
And why is that? Why are you going to go with the reigning Finals MVP to be Defensive Player of the Year?
And that's the reason. He's reigning Finals MVP. He's a man on a mission. And Davis, his injury situation, I can't throw my weight behind him yet.
He's got to stay healthy, though, that's for sure. So, anyways, let's talk about who's going to be this year's NBA Most Valuable Player Award. I'm going to put Russell Westbrook up there. I'm also going to throw in Luka Doncic from the Mavs. And also, I'm going to throw in Joel Embiid. And also, I'll throw in James Harden, too. So I'm going to pick Russell Westbrook from the Lakers to win this year's NBA MVP because I feel like that he's going to be a triple-doubles machine. He's going to be averaging a lot of points, a lot of assists, a lot of rebounds, and give me Russell Westbrook for that.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm going to stick with Luka Doncic. I thought he might be a dark horse last year, and I think he might do it this year, though.
You think that there will be a second European player to win it this year? Because last year it was Nikola Jokic.
Yeah.
So let's talk about who's going to be playing in the Eastern Conference Finals and who's going to be coming out of the East to go to the NBA Finals. So my pick for the Eastern Conference Finals is the Bucks and the Nets, and I pick the Nets in 7 games.
Yeah, me too.
And my pick for the Western Conference Finals is the Suns and the Lakers, and I have the Lakers in 7 over Chris Paul and the Suns.
I'm going to go with the same thing, Lakers and Suns. I'm going to go with Lakers.
And then my NBA Finals pick, I have the Nets and the Lakers. It could have happened last year in that short 72-game season, but it did not. So I think this is the year that we finally get to see LeBron James, Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving to go head-to-head with AD and Russell Westbrook and all those star power on the Lakers. Give me the Lakers in 7 and my pick to be the NBA Finals MVP. I definitely give this a lot of thought here. I mean, as I picked Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook to bring home some awards for Defensive Player of the Year and MVP, give me LeBron James to be the NBA Finals MVP just because I think that LeBron is great in the finals. I'm not a big fan of LeBron, by the way, because of his personality, but he always shows up big in the NBA Finals. So give me LeBron James as the NBA Finals MVP.
I'm going to say the Nets beat the Lakers, and I think it's going to be NBA Finals MVP is going to be James Harden.
And why do you think it's going to be James Harden that will win it?
I think he's going to get a bunch of buckets.
And would you put KD up there too?
Yeah.
I think that Nets and the Lakers are going to be good, but also let's talk about what do you expect from the Lakers this season? So you think that if you look at the Lakers, star power, and if the Lakers are not the number 1 seed, would you be okay with it? If they're not number 1 in the West, as you predicted, the reason why you predicted that the Lakers won't be number 1 in the West is because you just want them to stay healthy and fresh.
Yeah, I think their goal is to stay healthy and fresh for the playoffs, and as long as they don't slip out of home court advantage in that first round, I think they're fine with where they are. You have an older team too. You're going to want to give a lot of guys rest, and it'll take a while for the team to gel, bringing in Russell Westbrook in the offseason. So, going for some torrid win-loss record during the regular season, I don't think that's realistic. So I think, a couple of teams will leapfrog them.
And what is your thoughts on the Clippers moving into a new arena, the Intuit Dome? Do you think that this will help engage more Clipper fans in that area?
I think it'll help them build their own brand and identity. Yeah, I think it's important that they do that. Seems exciting.
Yeah, and then also with the Clippers, you don't have Kawhi Leonard out. I mean, when the Lakers play the Clippers this year, the goal is to get Kawhi Leonard either back by Christmas Day or either by the second half of the season because he had surgery to repair a torn ACL that he suffered during the playoffs. What is your realistic goal for Kawhi Leonard to come back?
I don't think until after the All-Star game, I would say.
Yeah, you're going to need him for that for sure, just because the Clippers, I expect them to make a deep run. And do you need to rush Kawhi Leonard now? No.
Yeah, no, you don't. The Clippers, they're probably going to finish 5th or even lower than that. But you just need Kawhi back for the playoffs. and see what can happen.
And also, we talked about Ben Simmons being traded, so I want to talk about that. So, do you think the Sixers will trade Ben Simmons?
Yes.
And
that'll be huge. I don't know where he's going, but they'll trade him.
Why do you think the Sixers should trade Ben Simmons?
He wants out. I mean, that's it. And they don't want him, I don't think, anymore. I think it's a mutual parting of ways, and it'll be interesting to see where he lands. That's for sure.
And if the Sixers trade Ben Simmons, can the Sixers still be a contender without him?
Yes. Yeah. Because they'll get pieces for him, that they need.
Yes, like you still have Embiid. You got Tobias Harris, who I think is going to be a good prolific scorer as a starter. But also let's talk about which team are you excited about other than the Lakers and the Pelicans and the Clippers and also the top tier teams in the West. Which team are you looking forward to seeing making a big improvement? I'm going to pick the Charlotte Hornets because of LaMelo Ball. I think this team has such a bright future ahead of them.
They'll be fun. I think I'll be excited about the Detroit Pistons with Cade Cunningham.
Well, Cade Cunningham is going to be good, but he's not going to be enough for the Pistons to get into the playoffs.
No, but he'll make him exciting at least.
Yes, I think he'll make Detroit fans very excited, especially to get tickets to be selling out at Little Caesars Arena or something like that. So anyways, my final thoughts and announcements is that next week, Matt and I will be back to recap week 4. We got a lot to recap, though, after the Patriots and Buccaneers game, And then also talk about some takeaways from the Lakers' first preseason game when they take on the Broklyn Nets as opening night nears. And then in 2 weeks from now, the Lakers will be taking on the Golden State Warriors. We'll be previewing that a week before the season begins. So basically, we're in for some really good Laker games coming up. But they have a tough schedule to begin. Like, their first 2 games is tough because they got the Warriors. I think they'll beat them. But the Suns might be a challenge.
Yeah.
So anyways, Matt, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next week.
See you next week.